Hey guys, I'm Nathan from Harrison Audio, and in this video we're going to look at the new EQ included in Mixbus version 10, the SSL 9000J. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are enjoying the new Mixbus version 10, and as always, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. But what's cool about version 10 is we've added the ability to swap out different EQ modules. And in the past, we've had the Harrison 32C EQ, but now we can switch it out with the SSL 9000J. So let's look at the EQ overall and listen to some sound examples by turning a few knobs. So here in the session, we have our channel strips and our buses. And you can see by clicking on EQ here in the switcher, we now have the 9000J EQ. Now at the bottom, we can actually swap these in and out by clicking on the button. And now we can see we have Harrison 32C, or we can have the 9000J. So the EQ itself has a high pass and a low pass filter, high frequency, high mid band, a low mid band, and a low frequency. The high and low frequency bands default to shelf, but you can make these into a bell curve by clicking on these buttons. You can also switch this over to the E mode, which is going to give you a different flavor of another SSL console. So if we look at the drums, for example, I've already done a little processing here, but let's go ahead and actually save this as a preset, then I can swap back and forth. So if I go into the plugin area, I can right click on the 9000J EQ and go to presets and save this as a new preset. So we're going to call this drum EQ and press add. So now I can right click again, go to presets and reset the plugin. So now all my settings are gone, but I can easily get back to the other version as well. And also by utilizing a cool feature in Mixbus called mixer scenes, I can actually A/B between these two settings really fast. So if I right click on the first mixer scene, I can store this and call this drum flat, and then go back to my preset area, choose my drum EQ, and then right click on the second mixer scene, hit store, and call it drum filters. Okay, so here's the drums all by itself. And we're going to go back to our first mixer scene. And yes, I want to overwrite the settings. Okay, so we have plenty of low end, we have plenty of high end stuff going on with the tambourines and the cymbals. And then clicking on mixer scene 2, I can engage the filters. And you can see this warning window keeps popping up. So I will click on do not show this window again because I know what I'm doing at this point, hopefully. Okay, so I now have the drums soloed up and we can flip back and forth between the EQ off and the EQ on. All right, so what I actually did was I filtered the low and the high, but I've also boosted some of the mid-range frequencies. So to me, you don't need a lot of that 10K or really 12K frequency when you're working with a lot of instruments. And then take the mid-range frequencies and start boosting or cutting just to get the overall tonality that you want. So one more time, here's the drums flat. And filtered. So you'll be surprised how much you can actually filter out the lows and the highs and still get a great sound and leave room for lots of other instruments in your mix. All right, let's move on to the bass guitar now. We're going to solo with the bass. And once again, we can right click, go to presets, and we can make a new preset called bass EQ. I can solo this up, go to mixer scene number 4, hit store. Call this bass filtered. Right click on the preset and reset the plugin. Go back down to mixer scene, hit store, and call this bass flat. Okay, so now we have two different options for our bass. Let's take a listen to the flat version. Okay, so we have some extra high end in the bass that we don't necessarily need, and you're just not going to hear it in the mix anyway. So now here is the bass filtered version. And if we look at the high mids and the low mids, I've actually taken about 2K and boosted 4 dB, and also taken 800 Hertz and boosted about 3 dB right here. So even though I'm rolling off a lot of the high end of the bass, I'm still able to get a nice bright, punchy sound from the bass guitar because of the mid-range that I'm accentuating. So now, just for fun, let's go ahead and solo up the drums and the bass. We'll do 2 more mixer scenes. We'll make this drum, bass, filtered. Then we'll right click here and reset our plugin, reset plugin, and we'll make this one drum bass flat. Okay. We'll start off with the drums and bass with the EQ off, and then we'll turn it back on with the mixer scene. There we go. Back to flat. And filtered. So I hope that's a good example of what you can do with this EQ. There is a few differences about the SSL EQ versus the Harrison EQ. And if you look at it, the low pass filter actually starts from the left and you go up to the right, which on the Harrison is backwards. You start on the right and you go down to the left. Then also, if you look at the mid bands, you have the ability to change the Q either from a sharp Q to a wider Q, versus the Harrison 32C, which has a proportional Q, which means as you raise the gain or lower the gain, the Q is either going to get narrower or wider. So just depending on the material that you're working with and the tools that you want to use, you now have 2 different options of EQ at your disposal. So if you have any questions about version 10, leave a comment down below. And as always, I'm Nathan from Harrison Audio, and I'll see you in the next video.